Welcome again. Now, the death toll from the collapse of a three-story building in Yaba, Lagos has risen to 4. Acting head of the National Emergency Management Agency Lagos office, Mrs. Ibitayo Adenike, confirmed the development on Sunday. She said another male body was recovered from the rubble in the evening, raising the total number of victims to 8, 4 dead and 4 rescued. The building, located at number 333 Borno Street, Alagomeji, Yaba, collapsed around 8:30 p.m. on Friday, trapping several occupants. Adenike noted that search and rescue operations were ongoing. Agencies at the scene include LASEMA, Lagos Fire and Rescue Service, Lagos State Building Control Agency, the police, and other emergency responders. To discuss this, we're joined by former chairman, Nigeria Society of Engineers, Ikeja branch, engineer Bola Bido. Engineer Bido, you're welcome. Thank you very much for joining us. We'd like to know what the likely structural engineering failures that could have led to the collapse of the three-story building could have been, particularly in urban areas like Yaba, where we've experienced this before.
I would like to send my sympathy with those who have lost loved ones within the collapse that happened recently in Yaba. There are 3 things basically that may lead to a collapse in a swamp area like Yaba, right? Yaba happened to have a high water table. It's a high water table area in Lagos. Therefore, there need to be adequate provisions and good design when it comes to the foundation. So when the foundation is not properly designed, it could lead to instability in the area because the soil is already weak because of the high water that is there. So one of the key reasons that may result in such incident is poor foundation design. Secondly, overloading of structural members. A lot of Nigerians seems not to obey the rules that guides every structure. Every structure is designed for certain purposes, right? So when you have excessive load, either they're adding additional floor or unnecessary unapproved heavy equipment or storage that may exceed the bearing capacity of the arms, columns, or the slab, as the case may be. That may also be responsible. And the final one, which cut across, is the use of substandard materials. The use of low quality concrete, steel reinforcement, and other construction material, which is prevalent in Nigeria at this moment, may also have resulted into this kind of calamity within our sphere. Thank you.
So I hear you about the substandard material that are being used, but when these are used, what early warning signs are typically ignored in structurally compromised buildings in Nigeria? What should people look out for?
Okay, basically, in every structure, once cracks are noticed in the wall or the beam, visible cracks that continue to widen, especially when it happens diagonally, that is a sign that there is a potential structural distress on the building. So occupant of every structure should look out for cracks when it happens and the cracks keep widening. Then it's a sign that the structure is under stress. The second thing is the floor or the ceiling. When you start experiencing sagging floor or ceiling, when the ceiling begin to coming down, or the floor begin to become uneven and all that, that is an indication that there's a structural distress also on the building, as the case may be. But a lot of people frequently overlook these issues. And the final one is unusual vibration or sounds. When you begin to hear unusual cracking, noise or movement within the building is an indication. And whoever occupies building should alert the authority, should alert the Council for Regulatory Engineering Monitoring Regulation within their locality, or the Lagos State Building Control Agency, that we notice this. They say if you see something, say something. And if that has been done, I can assure you a lot of lives have been saved, even as we're speaking now.
Engineer, one last question before we let you know. How would you rate the effectiveness of Nigeria's building codes and their enforcement in preventing structural failures?
Well, when it comes to building code, the Nigeria Building Code, I would like to say that the enforcement has not been adequate. Inadequate enforcement. We have an existing building code, but the enforcement is weak. Maybe there are issue of technical expertise, to implement some of the codes. The regulatory agencies are doing their best, but as long as we keep having this kind of collapse, it only shows that whatever the regulatory agencies are doing is not enough. The Nigeria Society of Engineers, working with COREN, has, like I said, a body called Engineering Regulation and Monitoring that visit every developmental project to assess, some of these issues that we have highlighted. But unfortunately, you can't have the eye of government or the eye of COREN at every corner of or sphere of Lagos State or Nigeria, as the case may be. So the onus is on us, the people, to be responsible, to raise alarm where need be, right? And that way we can actually prevent or force the authority to implement the codes where we suspect that are not being operated. The code is also where the code needs to also be adjusted in some areas, because the issue of building development, the issue of designs keep evolving, right? Construction methods, material management, the urban challenges with the population density. There's so many dynamics that are changing as regards our building code. And I want to say here that the relevant authority, should all the professional bodies in the building environment must rise up to the occasion to make sure that the building codes are updated, to meet up with the current exigencies and the changes that we're experiencing, in the building environment. And the last thing under this building codes and enforcement is that we as a people, we must also change our culture. As Nigerians, we have this lack of compliance culture. People don't want to naturally comply with regulations. So there's a building code, you are aware of it, they know it, but nobody wants to actually, so there's disregard for building regulation. Many developers and contractors bypass a proper process, to save costs. And at the end of the day, when you do all this, what suffers is that a lot of people are then exposed to, issues that are related to safety, which can result in building collapse. So I want to say that Nigerians must hold the bull by the horn by changing our culture. This I don't care attitude of culture and not wanting to follow rules and regulation, I think it's high time so that we can put a stop to this sudden collapse of building. We as a Nigerian losing our loved one, we need to actually be part of this compliance issue and then change our culture as regard to raising alarm when things don't go the way it should. And we ourselves making sure that we follow the rules. For every building design, there are rules for every component that has been tested and that we know works all over the world. So why is our own different in this part of the world?
Engineer Bola Bido. Engineer, sir, we'd like to say thank you very much for giving us your expert advice on the issue. Thank you, sir.